Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between. This is your captain speaking. Welcome back to From the Depths, and the series that got me noticed. It has been a little longer than I would have liked, but college finals are no joke, and neither is working full-time. But enough of that. I'm sure you're far more interested in whose skin I had to steal to get this body. Well, I can't tell you their name, but it rhymes with Pearl of Leningrad. Anyways, I've got some bad guys to kill, so we're just gonna have to cut this recap a bit short. So last episode... But as for now, I have two some ultimate Eastern and Western fronts, nicknamed the Tide Turner and Andrew Jackson, respectively. Thanks to them, the tide has, well, turned. The Gravitas has been destroyed, and now we're all caught up. And just in time for my Crusaders to have finally reached their target. The Gorgon, a monolithic cathedral that is something straight out of Warhammer 40k. And it is also home to the death cult of the White Flares. You know, those guys that like to skin people for fun. Well, the way I see it, if these heathens want to meet their god so badly, then it's only my duty to help them along. Begin. Excellent. That's a fourth faction off the board, and I'm only an entire year into the series. At this rate, I'll be finishing my next series in a retirement home. Regardless of that, progress is progress is progress, or something. I don't know. What I do know is that with the White Flares taken out of the equation, their territory is up for grabs. So it's time for that old song and dance about taking territory and plundering resources. As for the Crusaders, with their purpose fulfilled, they'll be sent up north to assist the Destiny Manifestors in the fight against the Great Talons, but not exactly by fighting, per se. You see, the Crusaders will be, donating their supplies to the cause to keep the offensive going, because in spite of how many millions of materials I have, I am still a penny-pinching bastard, and I've just been running these poor fucking guys on fumes, and only giving them the essentials when they actually need them to fight something. And that's where recycling the Crusaders comes in. Basically just giving their materials to refuel the Destiny Manifestors, so they can keep fighting that good fight. Now hopefully that'll be enough for the time being, but just in case it isn't, there's also a small supply ship inbound to top up any extra storage space and act as a support ship to suck up materials and build resource harvesters as the front progresses. Anyways, let's turn back to the Eastern Front and the artificial mediocrity of the Twin Guard. These guys have been a consistent thorn in my side throughout the series, constantly battering my Western Harvesters and wiping out an entire fleet last episode, so I am more than happy to finally be putting them in the ground. If only I could do the same to real-life AIs. Comments!
It wasn't always that easy, no, it wasn't always that slow. And when the gun was cocked and when the bullet was set, well, there was nowhere left to go. It wasn't always that easy, no, it wasn't always that slow. I just thought you'd like to know this time, I just thought you'd like to know. And was I wrong? Was it fated from the start, or did I stand the chase at all? Here I wait inside a bar for that crowd radio, and a file, and he's coming for me now. Oh, he's coming for her too. And when you're in the ground, well, then we'll still have ghosting left that we can do. That we can do. That we can do.
Well, I think it's safe to say that the corporate integration strategy to maximize shareholder profit margins and promote agentic workflow synergy is going quite splendidly. However, I believe it could be going even more splendidly. So, to that end, it's time for me to unveil one of my more ambitious designs. Prepare yourself for something utterly hideous. It's a bit, rotund. Allow me to introduce the Kronos-class Dreadnought and Mobile Command Center. This abomination is an affront to God, and I fear I may have damned myself to hell for eternity for having created it. But I would rather reign in hell than serve in heaven, so I'm going to put this thing to good use while I'm still accosting this earth with my presence. And yes, that is a threat. Before that, though, I have a confession to make. This ship, in its current state, is an unoptimized piece of garbage, and I never even finished filling in the interior. So, that changes today.
An inordinate number of hours later.
Alright, 10 hours and a couple 100,000 materials later, and I think I finally turned this thing into something I can actually be proud of. So let's start with the upgrades. Main guns, upgraded. Now with much better Tetris, bigger shells, and better shell comp. All while keeping the high fire rate of the original design. A bunch of stupid little AA Bofers, replaced with laser defense turrets, and an APS-C whiz that could be the primary weapon on a smaller ship. It has absolutely ridiculous DPS, and together, my defenses are even capable of intercepting one or two Doom Crams or huge missiles. Giant empty space in my heart, back of the ship, filled with Nico one-shot, huge laser cavity. Yeah. Secondary weapon systems, optimized. Refinery, less of those expensive flare stacks. Detection, AI programming, engines, and a whole bunch of other boring nonsense. Well, I won't go into detail, but upgraded. Impact damage, if this thing actually manages to run into another ship, over 3 million. Weight and cost after all those upgrades, 2 million materials and 5.3 million pounds. Wait, that doesn't seem quite right. What unit of measurement is this in-game counter even in again? Okay, so somebody found out that one in-game weight is about 56.62 kilograms. So 5.3 million times 56.62 gives me 300 million kilograms, 300,000 metric tons, or 661 million pounds. For my fellow Americans out there, that would be roughly 30,297 goalkeeper close and weapon systems. And for any undemocratic freedom haters out there, that's close to the weight of the Empire State Building as a boat that floats on the water. Anyways, with all that said and done, it's finally time to move on to the war. So let's turn over to the Western Front, the Destiny Manifestors, and the soon-to-be past tense Great Talons. Initiate. Alright, that's a 6th faction down, leaving only the Steel Striders and Scarlet Dawn to contend with now. But, as I've said before, this is taking a while, and the Steel Striders' territory is more spread out than the desert Moses got stuck in for 40 years. So I think I need a plan. So, on a fundamental level, this series ends when I win the quest for Neater, and there are 2 ways of doing that. Make friends with everyone, or kill everyone, essentially pacifist or genocide. Now, I would do the pacifist route, except for the part where I love to crush my enemies, see them driven before me, and hear the lamentations of their women, so it's genocide for me. Now then, the exact win conditions of the genocide route are to destroy every single enemy fortress on the planet, thereby destroying every faction. Or are they? You see, the developers appear to have forgotten a rather important detail, in that 4 out of the 5 Steel Strider fortresses simply aren't listed in the genocide win conditions. The only one that is actually counted is the Damascus, this cool bunker port thing. So, theoretically, if I was to just snipe the one fortress that is counted, it would fulfill the genocide requirements for all of the Steel Striders, and I could just leave my favorite faction alone afterwards without having to track down their 4 other fortresses. Sounds like a win-win to me. Now, that is the theory, but it remains unproven. So it looks like I have some testing to do. First though, I'll need a way to actually destroy my target. You see, even if I just sent my ships straight at the Damascus, I would still most likely have to fight the bulk of Steel Strider forces, my ships would arrive at the target damaged because they can't be repaired in enemy territory, and it would still take all of the time needed for them to sail up to the Damascus, which is near the top of the map. So, it looks like I'm going to need a more specialized design. First, the requirements. This craft needs to be 2 things, fast and deadly. capable of slipping right in the Steel Strider's backside and ripping them a brand new, structurally superfluous hole. Now these requirements are easy enough to fulfill when it's just one or the other, but combining them makes it a tiny bit more difficult. However, rather than investing a ton of time and effort into designing a swift, sleek, and deadly vessel or a veritable flying fortress of an airplane, I'm going to take a more bashing together rocks approach and just brute force this shit. I already have space-based recon satellites and cargo ships, which solves the problem of speed. So for this task, I'll be making some rather substantial modifications to my Persephone Super Heavy Cargo Transport, which transports Super Heavy Cargo Persephone. As for the whole ripping them a new hole bigger than Nebraska part, I'm resorting to my most base impulses and strapping the biggest rock I can onto the Persephone's chassis. Behold, the Proserpina. Now with thicker armor, bigger engines, and the African bull elephant in the room, twin phallus-class, bunker-busting, back-butt-aching, high-explosive, radar-guided, reinforced tip, wife-fucking, divorce-issuing missiles. Simply put, aim this thing at anybody you don't like, and they're getting shipped home in a damn Altoids can. With all that finally said and done, it's time to turn back to the war and drastically shorten the life expectancy of the average Steel Stridian. Sally forth. Well, here we are at last. The end of the journey. In a matter of hours, the last member of the old world order will be destroyed, and the dawn of a peaceful world will finally rise upon the oceans of Neater. Of course, the end of conflict will not be without conflict, and a machine built to end war is always a machine built to continue war. But that matters little now that a true legend has risen from the depths. That of a humble river rat that laid the world low in their quest for Neater. Begin. You know, I would honestly love to tell you that destroying the Scarlet Dawn was some huge climactic battle and that I barely won it at all by the skin of my teeth. Hell, I'd even love to tell you that I won the final battles through sheer numbers and firepower, crushing them under the weight of industry. Unfortunately, though, neither of those were the case. You see, after I destroyed the Damascus, I sent my remaining Proserpinas east to go harass the Scarlet Dawn as much as they could. It is important to note that at this point I only had 2 of them left after they'd fulfilled their purpose. I lost one to the Steel Striders on the way to Scarlet Dawn territory, and the other one was also damaged at that same battle. Somehow though, that last one managed to crawl its way to the final boss of the campaign, destroy the unarmed ships guarding it, promptly crash into the ocean at the first sign of resistance without landing a single hit, and somehow, someway, quote-unquote, destroy the Scarlet Dawn mothership on a technicality Because the damn thing ran into a mountain of its own free will, destroyed its thrusters, and flew into the ocean, making it despawn because it was too low. I won the hardest campaign in the game. Not by quantity, not by strategy, and God knows, not by quality, but by letting my final enemy kill themselves through sheer, utter incompetence. I could almost be mad if I wasn't just relieved at finally being free of this series. Though that's not to say I won't return to From the Depths eventually. I've already got my eye on a certain land campaign mod, but I have other series to make first, and I'm currently utter dog shit at building tanks. Anyways, and I can't believe I'm finally saying this, but thank you for watching this video, and this series. And if I ever see water again, it'll be too soon. Wait, what the fuck?